Hi there, it's Cameron again. Time for another episode of Snakespiration. And today's question is kind of a good one, and it's one that I get from parents of all people. And that question is, do snakes make good pets? Great question. Now, come here. They're not, come here, Bailey. They're not dogs. Big dogs like this one. They're not dogs. They're snakes. They're a completely different animal. They're one, if you forget to water it a day or two, it's going to be okay. A dog? No, you got to water your dogs. If you forget to feed it 1 week, it's going to be okay. But does that make a good pet, neglect? No, we still want to ever neglect our snakes. We definitely want to be able to... Ah! The big dog hit the camera. We definitely want to be able to interact with them and take good care of them. But what would be a good pet? Now, what I'm holding today is a corn snake, and one of my first pet snakes was a corn snake. Now, growing up, I would always go outside, always be outside catching snakes. And I'd bring them in for a day or two, and then we'd let them go. You know, garter snakes, decay snakes, little brown snakes, things like that. We'd go out, and I'd catch them, bring them in the house for a day or two, then let them go. Every now and again, I'd have a king snake for a couple weeks, or a black rat snake for a couple weeks. But when I first really started having pet snakes, I started with a corn snake, and it's a great starter snake. They don't get that big. This is a half-grown corn snake. This is the wild type color phase. And Bailey, get you out of here. Goodness gracious, big dog. So, with a corn snake though, is they eat rodents, so they're really good for that. And that you're not having, they'll eat frozen thawed, so you're not having to go buy a live mouse and put it in with your snake cage. But, one thing that can be bad about them is that if you were ever to feed them in their cage, they can become food aggressive, and when you open up the cage, they think that food's coming in. I mean, think about it. You're conditioned every time the cage opens, food comes in. Well, if you hold the snake a lot and you don't feed it in its cage, you feed it in another container, you don't ever have that problem. So that's one reason corn snakes make great pets, is that they're calm. This one doesn't go very far. They're pretty sturdy, so that you're not worried about, if you have kids that would smash them or squish them or anything like that. They're a pretty sturdy snake, and they're pretty just calm and tame. There are snakes that don't make good pets. Think about it. If you wanted a python, and it starts off, the same size as this corn snake, but it ends up being 12, 15 feet long, is that a good pet? It might be for you, but it's not for most average snake owners. It's probably not the best thing to have, and especially not for a beginner. You don't want something that's going to get that big. But if you find out you get a corn snake and you find out you really like snakes, and then you decide, well, shoot, I'm going to get something bigger, and then go to it, absolutely. But it's the corn snake, and then the other great starter snake for people is the ball python. Now here's a ball python. This is just a little baby ball python. Look at it. It's in a ball, just like its name, ball python. So the reason it's a great starter pet is that's what it does. It sits there. They're not very fast. They don't go anywhere. They don't get away. But the ball pythons can be tricky eaters. Sometimes they decide they don't want to eat for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months at a time. But for the most part, they'll do pretty well. But when I get asked the question, do snakes make good pets? My answer is always yes. And the reason it's always yes is not because I'm snuggling with them like you do with a dog or a cat or even a bird, but the reason the answer is yes is because, see how they just sit on you. It's because there is a companionship. When a snake is on you, there's some sort of energy that's transferred to you that's calming, for me at least. And then snakes are so fascinating that I'm learning about them all the time. Even this corn snake, I'm learning something new about this particular individual corn snake and what it likes every time I hold it. Same with a ball python. Now, ball pythons, we'll talk about sizes of snakes some other time, but a ball python can get to 4 or 5 feet long and be this big around. So if that's not for you, you want a corn snake that's a lot thinner and less intimidating in terms of once it gets bigger. But so The answer is, do snakes make good pets? Absolutely. Now, are you going to get love back from them from like a cat or a dog? Not the same. No, it won't be the same. But some people would argue, and sometimes I would even argue, that as my snakes do know me, and they'll know the difference between me and you, and maybe it's just my human, I want to personify them, I want to add that trait to them. Maybe it's just in my head, but I like to think that they know me, and that makes them special to me, and that's why I like them as pets. So, and also when you have a pet snake, this is something that benefits me as the director for the Center for Snake Conservation, is when you have a pet snake, your friends come into your house, and guess what you're doing? You're educating them about snakes. Even if you don't know anything about it, say, oh, that's just a ball python, that's all you know. They still get to see the snake. They get to see how it moves. If they're lucky, you'll feed it for them, and they'll get to see how it eats. And just that alone right there is education. Because the next time they see a snake, they're going to be fascinated and want to learn more about it than just, oh, I'm afraid of that snake. Or, oh, I don't like snakes. When someone knows somebody with a pet snake, the stories are always positive. They're not negative. They're not the, oh, that snake was going to bite me. No, it turns into a, oh, yeah, I had a friend who had a snake and it was amazing. That's another reason I like pet snakes. So they're great ambassadors for conservation, because if we can change human perceptions about snakes, we can inspire people to talk about snakes more. Then we can implement on the ground, in the field, conservation efforts to make sure that snakes are in our natural ecosystems for the rest of our days on this planet. So, answer, yes. And I hopefully you're snake inspired, and we can just go from there, and you guys just keep on coming back and learning more about snakes and what you can do for snake conservation. Alrighty, that's it for today. Stay snake inspired, and I'll see you later.